Very strange weekend for me. I hope you watched some of the funeral service for Prince Philip of Great Britain. I did, thanks to BBC. I watched a lot of it, as a matter of fact, and strange set of emotional responses from me. I'm not British. I'm not a citizen of the UK. The part of Ireland that my heritage derives from is very anti-union with the Brits. I'm certainly not a royalist. But there was something, I don't know how to describe it, something that was very powerful magnet for me to sit there for a couple of hours, just sit in front of my television and watch the entirety of this service. It was very moving to me, and I'm not sure why. I'll get to that in a moment, though. Prince Philip's coffin was carried, you probably saw this, on a military green Land Rover. That, ironically, I guess, maybe not so ironic, he had helped design. And he was laid to rest Saturday at Windsor Castle. It was by all measurements of what usually passes for a ceremony such as one that is required by the British royal family. This one was austere, closely choreographed, that did capture, as the New York Times puts it, Philip's steely role in Britain's royal family. And he was that, wasn't he? I mean, there's something about, I always wanted to refer to him as the king. I never quite understood. I mean, I do, but emotionally able to understand the idea that the husband of the queen is merely a prince. But anyway, as the Times reported it, Queen Elizabeth II bade farewell to Philip, who died on August 9th, 2 months shy of his 100th birthday, from solitude inside St. George's Chapel, which is in Windsor Castle. She was clad in a mask and kept at a distance from her children and grandchildren by pandemic social distancing requirements, which limited attendance for the ceremony to 30 people. I watched as much as I could of this slight woman, Queen Elizabeth II, who herself is in her mid-90s, dressed in black, her face covered with the requisite pandemic mask, and got tears in my eyes. I did. I wept for her loss. Couldn't help myself. You know, when you're married as long as they were, 74 years or something along, 70 plus years of being together, and then to see her alone, sitting in the chapel while the ceremony for her husband was carried out, it was just so touching. It really was. And the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Most Reverend Justin Welby, was one of the service speakers, along with the Dean of Windsor Castle, or Windsor, the village, I guess, Windsor Castle, Justin Welby, the Most Reverend Justin Welby. I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm getting confused here. The Most Reverend Justin Welby, obviously by his title, is the Archbishop of Canterbury. It's the Right Reverend David Connor, who's the dean of Windsor Castle. But the two of them recited the readings rather than what is standard, family members. And there was a choir of four, three men and a woman. The numbers of the choir obviously cut by the pandemic, and they stood apart on a stone floor, sang hymns selected by Prince Philip, their voices wondrously echoing in the chapel's empty nave. It was so overwhelming to me. Truly. And the royal family, the cameras kept passing from various members of the family. They listened silently. Prince Harry sat alone, his head bowed. And less than an hour later, after all this began, Prince Philip's coffin was lowered into, I should say, the royal vault at Westminster Castle. But nothing captured my sense of the day's military feeling like the custom-made Land Rover that conveyed Philip on his last journey to the chapel where he was to be interred. According to reports, he had tinkered with that vehicle's design for 18 years. And he settled on an open back, you saw it, metal pins to secure his coffin. And he requested the military green paint job. And then at 3 p.m., after the Land Rover had passed beneath Windsor Castle's towers and arrived at the chapel, to the boom of cannon shots and that awful peal of the bells, there was a national minute of silence for the people of England, I guess of the people of Great Britain. And it was a very quiet, beautiful Saturday. I couldn't help but notice during the shots outside the castle, the perfectly azure blue sky. I mean, that's not like Britain, is it? That's not like England with its rainy, chilly weather, but it was just a gorgeous day. And again, I couldn't help but notice how it made me feel to watch this. I didn't expect the emotional response that this ceremony gave me. But anyway, I just had to say all this because I think the reason I wanted to bring this up, I've just been witness to so damn much death over the past 12, 14 months. Haven't you? You know, I mean, over 500,000 Americans dying. The shootings of our black brothers and sisters and stranglings and murder of our black fellows. I mean, it just seems like death is just sloshing around in this country right now. These mass killings that have gone on. And of course, you might think, well, that would be reason enough to stay away from a funeral, one that's televised all over the world. Why bother? Well, it was the fact that it wasn't a bother. I've noticed so much death over the past year of people dying anonymously, whether it's under the knee of a out of control, insane cop, or in a hospital ICU, or being shot down at a workplace, or so much anonymous death, where people who went to work or people who went to the store or people who went to have a massage wind up dead. No ceremony for them. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.